All right, welcome back to another episode of Coffin Talk. Today's episode is about the pros and cons of being in an alliance, as well as what do I do and what happens if I'm outed. I'm going to start with the pros of being in an alliance or a group or house or whatever you want to call it. Um, this would be local in your hometown, at least someone who's roughly 30 minutes to an hour away. Um, that's what I consider local, but some people consider local like a day's drive. So it really just depends on what you mean by local. When I say local, I mean people who live like 3 cities away, or at least in the state of Washington. Um, Spokane would be like a really big drive for me. I don't think my car would make it. But there would be only a few reasons why I would go out that far to do anything. Um, there's only one person out there that I would go see. Um, but any locals, I mean, you know how it is when your friends come over. You know, people you go out to drinks with, people you come in and have movie nights with, girls' night. Um, that's what having VC members that are local is like. Um, people you go get your hair done with, or maybe you know someone who is willing to do your hair. If you're a girl or a guy, it just depends. Um, Me in my home, I don't have any local people. I mean, Vic is kind of local, um, but she's never been to my apartment, and she probably won't be to my apartment unless we go out for drinks or dinner or something first. That's just the way I am. Um, Not that I wouldn't love to meet Vic, because that's on my bucket list. Um, but locally, I don't really have anyone, so it's hard for me to think about all the pros. Donors, romantic relationships, friends, um, even local businesses. That's a thing. Internationally, Nocturne Circle is internationally. Um, People that come to mind are people like Sweeta and Debbie, and people that I just love you guys. I love you so much. I mean, Sweeta is going to outlive me, for goodness sake. You had better. She'll be at my funeral. I'll be at Debbie's funeral, and hopefully I'll be at least somewhere close to Debbie when I die. That's what I'm hoping for. I would love to do nothing more but sit on Debbie's front porch and get old. That's just something I want to do. Um, Great friends from around the world that are completely inseparable that I've known for years. There's nothing like them in the world. They mean so much more to me than anything else could. My whole house would go up as long as Debbie is still alive. The world is okay. As long as there's tea as well. I've got a thing about like the world has not ended as long as there's tea. And VC contacts that are family. Um, but sailing into the con waters is that if you make yourself an enemy in the community, any information that you have given, any personal information can be used against you and might. One person that comes to mind is she's a therapist that works in a halfway house that deals with patients with drug abuse. And yet this person has the emotional range of a doily. And in the VC, they have made themselves an enemy many times. This person can't even have their blow up, walk away, take some time and say, I've come back, I'm very sorry. Many things I said, I shouldn't have said. I was just angry and I needed to get some distance. This person can't do this. And I have been a target of some of her attacks at least once in my life. And unfortunately, by house, I'm related to this scumbag. And yet, after being made such an enemy, she will then panic and say, I can't put my real name on my on my public FB profile because someone might figure out where I work and then my life would be over. If you're that worried about your night side coming to get your day side, you need to lighten up on your day side. I'm just saying. If you are a troll in the community, like so many journalists are, if you are completely unwanted, you better keep your personal information wrapped up tighter than a friggin' condom. And I feel like those are the consequences when you choose to deal with any group in the community, is that any information that you give them or that they can find out can be used against you. And I feel like that's why it's so important to be a good noodle in the community and be positive and helpful to people, no matter how you feel about whatever the heck that they've done, that you try and give them at least one chance. Unless, of course, they are completely wasting your time. If they're using their one chance and being difficult about it, you don't need to have time for that. You don't need that negativity in your life. Uh, and with that comes to being outed. Um, it depends on what your day side is like, what your family is like, what your spouse is like, where you're living, how old you are. If you're 16, you need to create a camouflage. For me, when I was younger, my camouflage was Vampire the Masquerade, Castlevania, role-playing games, cosplay. That was perfect. Someone would hear something, someone would talk to someone else, and then eventually someone would be like, oh yeah, she's kind of weird. Yeah, she plays role-playing games. Don't worry about it. This really did happen. I had an incident where someone came up to me with a Vampire the Masquerade clan persona and began to talk to me. And I was excited and scared at the same time because I was like, yes, it's happening, it's working. And then I was like, oh crud, I don't know what to say, because I hadn't really done the research. I was just using it as a smokescreen. And so I had to immediately go into an act of knowing what they were talking about and reciprocate. And that one incident carried me from freshman year all the way through high school. Nobody bothered me. Nobody suspected. But for people who can't do that have like a religious background in their home, you're going to have to use psychology. You're going to have to do research on how, if a family member, say like your brother, finds out and your brother's like, I'm going to tell dad, you need to do something with your brother and your father on a psychological level. You need to prepare yourself because you instantly have someone who's going to blackmail you. And I don't know what your consequences are. Everybody's consequences are different. But you need to understand that when you choose to work and deal with the VC, that you can lose your home, especially if you're not the one paying for it. There are times, even in my own life, where my father and I had not agreed, and he said, you can come back and live with us, when I was younger. And I said, fine, but I want to pay rent. And he said, no, that's not really necessary. Yes, it is. Because when you pay rent, there's an agreement there that they can't immediately kick you out, if they get irritated with you or not. That you have security in your home, and that is extremely important. If you don't have security in your home, you need to get it now. You need to make some sort of document or something that says you pay rent, or you need to start paying rent, or you need to move out. Those are the breaks. Do not keep toxic relationships in your life. Once as a victim, twice as a volunteer. And I think that is the end of this video. I think, there's only so much you can do in those sort of negative situations. Every time I get a video call or a voicemail and I'm at work, I immediately plug in my headphones before listening to it. I do not allow any of that in my workplace. My VC side is completely void in my professional life. And personally, people know me on a friendly level in the VC, but also people know me as a monitor in the VC, and that's different too. Um, what I mean is that I've had issues where I've become an enemy because I'm wearing my monitor hat. People have been friends of mine that said, I'm your friend, why are you being so mean to me? And I'm like, I'm sorry, but you've done this in chat, and it's a chat I run, and you've broken a rule, and now I have to talk to you about it because you've upset people. And people think that I'm doing what I'm doing is because I'm not their friend. And that's not where I'm coming from, is that I have to do certain things strictly because I'm a monitor. There have been people that I have really not liked in chat that I'm like, I am not your friend, I can't stand you, and yet they're in my chat. And people have come to me and said, you don't even like them, why are you putting up with them? And I'm like, well, they haven't broken any rules. And they don't seem to understand I'm still coming from an administrator standpoint. It's happened both ways, where people have been like, they're not your friend, why are you being so nice to them? And people have been like, my friends, and why are you being so mean to me? It's happened both ways, and that's something I'm eventually going to do a video about. But I think this sums up this video. If it was helpful to you, hit the like button below, and if you have any extra questions, put them in the comments section. And I hope you have a great day.